Hello everyone. In this video, I will be showing you a table that I used during the CompTIA Network Plus exam to calculate the network ID, first and last host IPs, and broadcast address. I'll only be showing you my table and explain my logic behind building it. This is simply the method that I use to remember subnetting quickly during the exam. And before watching this video, please make sure you already understand the basic terminology and concepts such as what is a subnet, CIDR notation, network ID, broadcast IP, and host addresses. You need to know what these are before you listen to this video because I won't be explaining those concepts here. My goal is only to show you the technique that I use to train myself for the exam. I passed the CompTIA Network Plus exam last month, and this approach helped me remember subnetting consistently under exam pressure. It may not be the most technical or traditional method, and it may not work for everyone. If you find another method that works better for you, then that's perfectly fine. I'm simply sharing what worked for me. If I have time, we will go into an example of how to calculate the network ID, the first and last host IPs, and the broadcast address here on the right. But I'll see how we go. So hopefully this helps someone else remember subnetting a little more easily. Now, I just want to make a comment. During the exam, you will need to know how to calculate the subnet mask. And for that, I recommend Andrew Ramdale from Udemy. Sorry if I got the surname wrong. Um, I bought one of his courses and I cannot recommend him enough. He explains things very simple. He just shows you how to build a simple table, two columns, and you just need to learn that by heart. But even that, it has a logic behind it. So once he shows you how to build it, you can't forget it. Like you can replicate that over and over. Um, okay, so I getting that out of the way. Coming back to our table here, let's build the table that I used to calculate. Like I said, the network ID, broadcast IP, first and last host IPs. You also need to remember these CIDR notations for classes B and C. And you need to remember that classes B goes from /26 to /23, and C, which is the fourth octet, goes from /24 to /31. Now, we'll start with class C subnetting because it's the most commonly used one. And this means we'll be working with the last octet. So if we're looking at this example here, we will be working only with the last octet, with the 59, which obviously corresponds. So the last octet corresponds to the CIDR notations, like I showed you here. Where's my mouse? Here, from 24 to 31st. So the second my exam started, I built this table because I knew I'd need to see it to speed up my calculation. Okay, so first things first, you don't need to remember these. You can calculate them. You just need to remember this. The fourth octet starts from 24 and you go on up to 31st. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you have another 8 on the third octet. Okay, so you basically go from the small one to the bigger one, and then the small one to the bigger one. It's like this. It goes like this. Okay. Now let's start with the /24. A /24 network contains 256 IP addresses. Okay. Why 256? Because the last octet contains 8 bits, and 2 at the power of 8 is 256. So you just learn this. You just remember this. Okay. Now, one thing you need to remember is that a /24, yes, it's a block of 256 IPs, but in the exam is going to ask you for the host IP. So out of the 256, there is always you always deduct two, one for the network ID and one for the broadcast IP. Therefore, you will only have 254 usable host IPs, and that goes for all of these subnets. Okay, so here you're going to have 128, but actually usable IPs is 126. Okay, moving on. Now, going from /24 to /25, a /25 just means that we take a /24 and we divide it into two equal parts. So half of 256 is 128. So a /25, a /24 is two 25s. Okay, so we have um, one, how can I say it? A subnet of /24, you can split it into two subnets of /25. Okay, each with 128 IP addresses, out of which you can only use 126 for your hosts, because we have one for the network ID and one for the broadcast IP. So we have only 126 usable host IPs. Moving on, it's the same idea. A /26 means we take a /25 and divide it into two equal parts. Therefore, one /25 becomes two /26s. We divide 128 by 2 and we get two 64s with 62 usable host IPs. And so on and so forth. So basically, you go /27, you divide 26 by 2, and then by 2, and then by 2, and that's how you get these numbers here. Going the other way, if you have a /23, obviously a /23 is going to be a double up of a /24, and you go up the same way, you double up. Okay, and that's it. That's how I remembered. So I just knew that for the fourth octet, I start at /24 and go up to /31st, because the 31st is basically just the network ID and the broadcast IP. Then that's it. You can't have any hosts here. And then the other way, you just double up. I just doubled up. Okay, and I went because I didn't know where this would end. So I just went 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 16, 17, 16. And then I knew /26 was could only hold 65,536 IPs. So I knew basically the ends and I calculated the rest. But once you do a few examples, you get used to this. But that was my logic. Always half it, always divided by 2, and that's the next CIDR notation. Okay, let's do an example. So we're gonna look at this example here, and that this is where I trained, and all the people that I know, and I've searched online, and I could read the reviews and whatnot. A lot of them used this site. I love it, and it's free. So like we said, this is here. We have the target IP address 2115 to 3544 sorry 41 .59, and it's a CIDR notation of /27, which takes us here. So this is the notation that we will be using. Okay, let's make it yellow so we can see. So what this means is basically, because it's a /27, I can straight away, I know that I'm working with the fourth octet, which means the first three, 1, 2, and 3, they're the same. So this side even has here a button, then you can autofill the non-interesting octets. And these are it. You basically copy them. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because we're working on the fourth octet. Now, again, /27, we're working on the fourth octet. We know that we basically have blocks of 32 IPs. Okay, so here I know that my first batch, let's say like that, it's gonna start at I'll write it here, 215.235.41.0. So that would be my first subnet. That's the 0 would be the network IP for the first subnet. Now, the next subnet would be 215.235.41 dot, because we have blocks of 32, it's going to be 32. So this would be my first subnet of slash 27. Okay, let's make it bigger like that. And then this would be my second subnet of slash 27. The first IP in my first subnet of slash 27 is the first three, which we know they stay the same, and 0 is basically the first one, which is the network ID. Okay, now the last IP would be the one before this one. So it would be, so what I did in my mind, I go and calculate the first and then the second, and obviously because this is the first IP from the second subnet, the last IP from the first subnet would be 215.235.41 and 31. Okay, so that would be the last IP from the first subnet of slash 27. Now, if I don't know the last IP from this one, I'm just going to go and calculate it, and this would be the third. Okay, and it's going to be 215.235.41, and then at 32 I'm going to add another block of 32, so that would be 64. Okay, and now I know the last IP from the second subnet, which is 215.235.41.63. Now, looking at my IP here, it's 59. So obviously my IP is somewhere in here. Okay, so my IP is in here somewhere. This is the subnet that my IP is in. Now, coming back here, the network ID is the first IP in this subnet. So it's it's 32. Okay. Obviously, the first host is 33 because that's the next one. The last one, I don't know yet. I just need to go here and I would calculate it the other way around. Now, the broadcast from this particular subnet, I know it's the last IP, so I've just calculated it's 63. The last host is the one before it, which is 62. The next subnet, it's basically this one here, 64. Let's check. Yay, show. So that's my logic. I hope this is easy. Just take it slow and just remember that this table is going to show you how many the blocks, how big are the blocks. If it's a I didn't practice this one. Let's stay with fourth octet. That's too easy. Let's go 25. So we're gonna delete this one. I haven't practiced this. Okay, so let's go 25. Let's see if I can calculate this. I haven't done this in 2 months. Okay, so this is not it. No, Phil, this is it. This, we're looking at this one here. So a slash of come on. So slash 25. Okay, I'm looking at here. First of all, I know that these three, first, second, and third octet, they're always the same because it's a slash 25, and I'm working on the fourth octet, which means the first three are the same. So I can autofill. Now, we're working on the last one, and I can see it's 198. First thing I look at is, okay, how big is my slash 25? If you do a few examples, you're gonna just start learning them by heart, and you're gonna know that slash 25 is has blocks of 128 IPs. So looking at this, if I just double it, then obviously I can see that my IP 198 is in the second subnet, okay? Because the first subnet starts at 0. I'm just going to put the last octet. I'm not going to write the whole thing. It would be 151.68.98.0, okay? But the next ones I'm not going to write. So mine is going to be from 0 to 127. Okay, so the last IP in this subnet is going to be 127 because 128 is the first in the second one. So this is 128, okay? And the next one, 128 plus another 128 gives me 256. So the third subnet is going to start with 151.68.98.256. Now, so this is the first IP, last IP. So the last IP in the first subnet is 127, but it's not helping me because 127 finishes before mine. So my IP, this whole IP, is not in the first subnet of /25. It's in the second subnet because the second subnet I can see here finishes at 255, and this is a mistake because I'm going to show you. You can't have all the IPs finished at 255 and then see here, you don't have 98, you have 99. So the next subnet, you don't have a third subnet. Obviously, that's my bad because you can only have two. /25 only has, see, I didn't practice this enough. /25 has two /24 can be divided into only two subnets of /25. So there isn't a third subnet. You can't have it. There's nothing here. Okay. So that's it. The subnet finishes at 255. The next one, you are on the third octet. So 98 becomes 99.0. That's the next subnet, the first IP of the next subnet. Okay, that's the network IP ID. Okay, the broadcast, we know it's the last one, the last IP, it's 255. The last host is the one before this, so it's 254. I hope I get it right. I think I'm going to get it right. The network is the first one. The first host is number 1. Let's check. Okay, why didn't we? Oh, yeah, duh. Because my IP is in the second subnet. So it's my first IP, which is the network ID, is 128. And the first host is 129. Check. Perfect. Okay. It's good that we made a mistake. So yeah, I hope that made sense. I'm glad I actually did this mistake because I could show you here 98 to 99, which is the third octet. You're moving on to the next octet because the /25 can only give you two subnets. Okay. And then that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope it made sense. That's how I learned it. The same way it works on the third octet. So yeah, good luck. And I really recommend this website because if you don't know how to calculate, you can hit here show all, and it's going to show you the responses, and then it's going to help you a lot in using it. One thing that I noticed, and I just remembered this one, and I want to give you a piece of advice. If you want, you can follow it. If not, you can just ignore it. First, when I started training here and I was doing calculations, I would have this ticked, filled in, and it would fill my all my calculations. But then this part here was a bit tricky, so I unticked it and I started just writing them by heart just because of this example here, like I showed you. Okay, so the third octet would change. So the autofill is just for beginners only. When you're getting closer to the exam, untick this and calculate it, so you just have a bit more of a practice before it. Okay, enough with the jibber jabber. Good luck, guys, and take care. Bye bye.